This presentation is about the group project on the organization Fossil Group Inc. It will cover several subjects, including an overview of the company, the core problems it has experienced in recent years, problems that have resulted from the COVID-19 pandemic, recommendations to fix the problems or look towards resolutions, and it will include several appendices that support the identified core problems and the recommendations provided by the group, along with the references of the information used throughout the presentation. Fossil Group Inc. is an organization known for producing and selling jewelry. Some licensed brands that fall under the Fossil Group Inc. umbrella are Armani Exchange, Diesel, DKNY, Emporio, Armani, Kate Spade New York, Michael Kors, Puma, and Tory Burch. The organization has been classified in several ways. From the internal view, it is currently classified into two separate sectors within the watch industry. These include retail sales of jewelry and sales of new watches. Additionally, the Securities and Exchange Commission classifies it as a distribution company of consumer fashion accessories. The standard industrial classification for this organization is retail sales of any combination of jewelry, which includes rings and brooches. Lastly, the North American Industry Classification System classifies it as retailing of new watches. The group has identified three core problems that the organization faces that were heavily caused by the turnover within senior leadership, which are: 1. A lack of company direction and operational structure to execute business objectives. 2. The customer value proposition was affected as there were delays in launching product investment initiatives and the absence of smartwatch models that led to profit loss. And 3. Decentralized marketing model that caused lack of opportunities for examination at a micro level. In addition to the core problems, the organization faced several problems due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The economic impacts of the pandemic resulted in fewer buyers of items that are considered luxury items like jewelry. Next, like many other organizations, Fossil Group Inc. had to lay off a number of employees, which in this case was over 2,700. A portion of the layoff was staff in senior leadership positions, which further added to the previously identified core problems. The company failed to address areas like financial forecasting, business operations, and liquidation. Many of the pandemic problems, compounded with the core problems, resulted in a decline in income. Our group has produced several recommendations that Fossil Group Inc. may use to attempt to resolve or mitigate some of its problems. One way to improve or resolve some of the issues is to change leadership protocols. This may include assessing and changing compensation packages, which could result in a strategic competitive advantage or offers made to similar classifications in competing organizations. Competing organizations are why staff, including those in leadership positions, are lost. Some may feel they will be better compensated or may receive better packages elsewhere. Another recommendation to change leadership protocols is to invest in professional training development programs to show staff that they are valued and that the organization is taking the time to invest in them, which would help with problems of retention and attrition. Furthermore, conducting comparative studies to see how similar positions in the industry are being compensated may help Fossil Group Inc. to ensure that the packages being offered by the organization are competitive. Lastly, employee surveys are a good tool to identify employee satisfaction or dissatisfaction and the reasons for attrition to better direct senior leadership and employee initiatives. Changes need to be made in leadership to initiate the improvement of retention and increase employee morale. Another set of recommendations and solutions is focused on creating a new customer value proposition to address the problems in this area. One of those recommendations is to rethink the proposition and how it can be modified to deliver greater value to customers. Additionally, implementing more innovative technology to diversify the company portfolio and increase consumer loyalty. Another recommendation is to invest in market research to learn more about consumer behavior and provide incentives to unexplored markets. Finally, investing in product design to embody a wearable technology brand to enter a different market in which products like watches are seen as wearable technology rather than just jewelry. The next recommendation focuses on deploying a management information system to assist with the problems that resulted from decentralized marketing strategies. The deployment of a management information system will allow Fossil Group Inc. to facilitate the process for customizing marketing for unique markets, will provide decision-making power to regions while maintaining centralization and uniformity across the organization, will allow marketing to be produced on a more micro level, and will allow for more creative and free-form approaches to marketing. Our last recommendations are meant to mitigate the COVID-19 problems that were the result of the pandemic. These include reassess and vary reoccurrence models and implementing new ones to help the company mitigate problems, developing internal health and safety guidelines to show employees that they are essential to the organization and that their safety and health are a priority, to have a contingency model with remote measures in the case that there is a need to send people home to work remotely. And lastly, to take into consideration how the budget is impacted when retail stores need to be closed, such as during the COVID-19 pandemic, and to develop a budget that could be utilized if that were to happen. Lastly, in our presentation is a couple of appendices that support the problems the group has identified and the recommendations made. The first appendix shows how the cumulative return of shares of common stock has dropped and remained low in the last few years with incremental improvement. The next appendix shows how the net income has improved to be positive in 2021 compared to the negatives in the previous 2 years. Net sales have begun to improve in 2021 in comparison to the drop from 2019 to 2020. And lastly, a significant impact of the pandemic was the layoff of 2,700 employees that reduced the total to 7,500 from 1,200. This concludes the presentation on the Fossil Group Inc. and the identified core problems and problems that resulted from the COVID-19 pandemic. The following are references of the information used throughout the presentation. Thank you.